Hi, and welcome to the Lazarus and Dangerfield show, the show that takes cinema, turns it on its head, and rips the lid off it. And as always, I'm joined by the man in certain parts they call Danger, Mr. Clint Dangerfield.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Just wanted to say this week's movies that we watched are not Oscar winners. They're nowhere near
They should be.
Oscar
They
winners.
should be. Yes, let's talk Oscars. So, if you caught last week's show, you will know we did the Oscar show.
We did
So,
indeed.
how close did we get, Mr. Dangerfield?
Well, we called it. Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor, and rightly deserved. As good as everyone else was. It was just a phenomenal role.
He was awesome.
It was amazing. Our pick was The Father to win the Best Picture, but I think we both knew that Nomad was going to win. It just seemed fairly,
we said Nomad will probably win it, but we
just
want
seemed
Father to win it. Yeah,
fairly obvious. But yeah, I'd say we didn't obviously kind of pick all the winners. But yeah,
well, Yun Jung. We spoke about her in the Minari.
She
was
great. Best support as well, didn't she?
Supporting actress. So yeah. And we actually mentioned Daniel Kaluuya a few times, and I'd said that him and Lakeith Stanfield. I kept saying his name wrong last week. So Stanfield were both up for Best Supporting Actor, but yeah. So I don't know, three. What I'd say, 3 out of 4 wasn't bad.
It's not bad. I'll take it.
Yeah, it was good. We'll take it. But moving on from the Oscars, which has just been a whirlwind. What else have you been catching up with?
Okay, so on TV, I have been watching. Anyone in the UK will know Line of Duty Series 6 has been on for the last 5 weeks. Absolutely incredible. It's the series finale this Sunday. Very much looking forward to that. It's been just another amazing series.
I've heard a lot of hype about the show, definitely. I don't
so good.
believe I've watched it, but
it is so good.
I watch so much TV. Okay.
It's so good.
It might be one I have to pick up.
And I finished Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+.
Okay, great.
Another phenomenal series. Oh my god.
No spoilers, please.
They know what they're doing at the MCU. I'm sure I said this about WandaVision as well. They know exactly what they're doing in the MCU and at Disney. Just incredible. You've got to watch it.
You're just biased because your doppelganger is in that TV series anyway, the Falcon. No, I'm actually joking. You didn't see that one coming. No, if anyone watches the show and agrees, I'm sorry, Mr. Dangerfield is doppelganger for the Winter Soldier.
I will take that. I will quite happily.
It's definitely worse. So I've just completed The Serpent. I missed this, obviously, for the reason that we do these weird shows. Aren't in live studios, is because I don't live.
Are you telling us
on that
Kurt Russell isn't behind me right now, along with Doc Brown?
Yeah. So I missed The Serpent on BBC. So I caught it on Netflix, and along these lines of we're obsessed with it was superb. The acting was phenomenal. It was just so well done, and
all based on a true story as well.
Yeah. Basically, for people who don't know, Serpent was a serial killer that basically preyed on hippies in Asia, drugged them, stole all their money, and brutally murdered most of them. So, and basically he was not caught for a long, long time. So, great television series
with a Dutch, what was it, like a Dutch consulate?
Embassy.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was
Herman Knippenberg. He was very
Knippenberg or something like that. Yeah. He was absolutely
great cast. The second one I was watching that I've just finished. So this basically came out probably about a year ago now. Narcos, Mexico. So if anyone's seen the original Narcos, a lot of people have, which you're missing out. So the first 3, obviously, you've got Pablo, the first series. first, second, and then you got the Cali Cartel, which I probably better actually. The Cali Cartel is so entertaining. So obviously in Pablo's absence because he's gone. No spoilers because this is a true story. You have the Cali Cartel. Then obviously at the end of that, you fast forward to Mexico, and they overlap somewhat. Like Cali are in the Mexico one now, but it talks about how Mexico is sort of what it's become now, where it's got these cartels.
Yeah.
So it was an organization. So the great thing about it, obviously, Narcos, it's made quite a few people's careers, much like any great TV show. But it's also had some good characters. So Michael Pena, it didn't make him because he was already made, but
Yeah.
he was in Narcos Mexico. He was in the first
amazing.
series. So obviously, I think that was a good way to get people into it because a lot of people weren't sure. They enjoyed the first three. I believe it's three, might be four. First few series of Narcos anyway, and then obviously I just getting like a big actor to come in, add some credence, and also because
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal left. Pedro Pascal of Mandalorian, of Game of Thrones, of Wonder Woman. I love this guy. I think this guy is one of the best actors out there at the moment. Just whatever he touches is gold. I think we spoke about Wonder Woman for a few weeks ago. I didn't enjoy the first one. He was such a good bad guy in 1984. Like just brilliant.
I know that I've still not seen 1984 yet.
1984 trumps the first one. Like I loved it, and he's great in it. But obviously, if you've seen The Mandalorian, he is amazing as the Mandalorian. So he's in, and then you've got Diego Luna, who is sort of the main star. So Cassian Andor, Star Wars reference, and obviously Pedro Pascal. So you've got two Star Wars characters in Narcos series. So it's great. It is a lot of it's in Spanish, but just great gritty series. And I don't know. What about films? Have you caught any other films?
I watched because of this week's movies, which two of them had Jet Li in. I went back and watched my favorite Jet Li movie ever, called Fearless.
Okay, cool.
And you've got to check. If you've not seen it, you've got to watch this movie. It is incredible. The fight scenes are just incredible. Sure. Jet Li is just incredible. It was his last, basically his last wushu epic movie that he did. And yeah, it's just so good. It just holds up. I absolutely love that movie. And also
I'm not
recently,
sure if I've seen it.
You've got you have to watch it. I'll send it to you. You have to watch it because, like I said, the fight scenes are just phenomenal. Sure. They are so good. And I also recently watched Ratatouille. Classic.
Okay. Never seen that again. So
oh my god, you've not seen Ratatouille? You got to watch it.
Not big so on not big on mice in kitchens, you know. Well, I like sanitary conditions.
that is where you're wrong. He is a rat, and he's a very clean rat. He's always washing his hands, and he's got a love for food.
So there was a Robot Chicken episode where he controlled him by pulling on his hair, and I'm pretty sure he did some pretty deviant stuff. So, but that's another Ratatouille entirely. I actually, so obviously going through the Oscar list, and we'd been talking, and we couldn't fit it all in last week's show, but we're talking about previous winners. And of 2020, there were literally two films I hadn't watched, and that was Marriage Story and Little Women. Little Women I probably will get round to, but I thought I'd give Marriage Story a go. Maverick performance by Adam Driver. I love this guy. I swear he can't do any wrong at the moment. Again, another one of these guys like Pedro Pascal does just a great commanding presence. One of these just great kind of I want to say came out of nowhere. From out of nowhere. Like literally, and he's nothing against Scarlett Johansson because I think she was very good in this film, but he was just brilliant. I found it a little bit depressing. It's about marriage. Yeah. So anyone who's married, it's quite depressing at times, but great acting. So
Oh,
I
amazing.
think, but Oscars has definitely kept me busy.
Yeah, we did watch a lot over the Oscars. We definitely watched a
Mm.
lot. Um, yeah, just to finish off quickly, in between. So when I'm doing stuff around the house or in the kitchen cooking or whatever, I tend to have on in the background. It's on Netflix at the moment. A program called Superstore,
Okay,
which is just a comedy set in a great big, basically like a Walmart, an American Walmart, and it's
sure.
just a simple comedy, just following a group of employees at this superstore at this Walmart. It's just really funny. Just
Wasn't there
nice
a
20 to
film?
22-minute episodes that you just have on in the background. Yeah, they're really good. You're not thinking of the movie Employee of the Month, are you?
Possibly. Who was in that
With
one?
Dane Cook,
Yes, yeah. I thought
and
that was
I
good.
no, that was good. That was a
Yeah,
good
that was good.
film.
It was a funny film. Yeah. What happened to Dane Cook?
I don't
He didn't
I
really see
don't
him
know. He
much these
was
days, did
he was slightly big a few years ago, really, wasn't he?
he? Yeah, he had his
Um,
moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
it came and went very quickly.
Mm.
But anyway, I think that's enough for TV. I think we covered that enough. Join us again in part two, where we will be going through the DMX trilogy: Romeo Must Die, Cradle to the Grave, and Exit Wounds. Welcome back to part two. So, for the last week, Buck, Lazarus, and I have been watching what is called the DMX trilogy. I don't know who calls it that. Do you call it that? Or was it just generally known as the
Romeo
DMX trilogy?
Trilogy, Romeo Trilogy. Well, he's in all of them, isn't he?
I was going to
So,
say, because it's not really the DMX trilogy, because he's barely in Romeo Must Die.
well,
His music's in the film
yeah,
more than he is. But I digress. Anyway,
yeah.
so Romeo Must Die, Exit Wounds, and Cradle to the Grave.
So, if I can add a side note, obviously we had mentioned on the episode before the Oscars about DMX sadly departing. Being a huge fan of his music, this sort of doubly ties in, and it wasn't something that came up about because of this. Maybe it was facilitated when we heard he was in hospital, but we'd been discussing this. Myself
Yeah.
and Mr. Dangerfield both love these movies. We love all three. They're great action movies, and it was just something that it's kind of hard to compare them against anything else other than maybe something like Rush Hour, maybe. I don't know. But
That'd be
again,
a
a
good one to
different
go through.
dynamic. Yeah, it's just, and so it's kind of also, I want to say it's not very well known trilogy, is it?
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I think they all got a part to play. So
If anything, this is the Anthony Anderson trilogy because he's in all three.
yeah, and he has big parts in all of them. Yeah, the Anthony,
Yeah.
and his career's gone. He's had some longevity. He's in
Yeah.
Blackish, isn't he?
Yeah.
Got his own
Yeah.
show. So yeah, maybe the Anthony Anderson trilogy might be onto something like that.
But there were like across all three films, there were a lot of actors that were in two of them.
Yeah,
I noticed. Like Isaiah Washington's
DMX
in two
and
of them.
yep,
Yeah, DMX is in all three. Jet Li's in two of them. Tom
two,
Arnold's in two of them.
yeah,
Anthony Anderson's in all
three.
three.
Eva
So
Mendes, did you spot
even
her?
Mendes, yes,
She's
yeah,
in, yeah,
that was a very
which,
brief role.
yeah, she didn't have a lot of lines, so I think it was one of her early, but yeah, she
But
was one I spotted.
so let's begin with
Yeah,
Romeo Must Die.
sure.
So this I was reading was actually Jet Li's first leading Western role.
Mm,
So his first American appearance was in Lethal Weapon 4, which he's
mm,
got a great role in Lethal Weapon 4.
mm.
But Romeo Must Die is his first leading role, and he still didn't speak that much English
Yeah.
at all, which was amazing because that doesn't come across.
Oh yeah. No, I to be
So
honest,
you
that's
wouldn't know.
surprising because I didn't pick up on that at all.
This
Wow.
also Romeo Must Die also features obviously Aaliyah, the singer, the late singer
Yeah.
Aaliyah.
Yeah.
It was surprisingly good. But
Yeah.
your thoughts on Romeo Must Die? I know this was a favourite of ours when we were younger when it first came out.
So, yeah, it's funny watching them all back. it's as if you change your order of what you liked when you watched them. So I did particularly watch this. I think I've only ever seen this once, possibly twice, of the three. I've seen the other two
It
a
must have
few
been me
more.
that watched it several times when I was younger.
Yeah, so I think that's it. Like you said, the DMX dynamic about it. I think the story was of the three, it probably has the best story or
Oh
the
yeah.
most plausible story at
Yes.
least.
Yeah.
Two rival families. You've got the Chinese family and you've got Aaliyah's family, which is like kind of the black family, and they want control of the harbour, don't they?
Yeah.
Because they basically, if they can force all these landowners out, an NFL stadium can go in, and it's all about money. But
Yeah.
then, and it's a power struggle. So it's and you know, Jet Li gets typical Chinese revenge story. A family member has been brutally murdered, and he must avenge them. So it was a bit cliche in that, but
He escapes from prison as well. Escapes from a Chinese prison.
yeah.
To,
Very good way of escaping as well, quite ingenious. But
yeah.
no, it's just great. It was there was some nuances about this. So obviously the director's has his own style, much like any director does. And I put when it's really violent, they cut to the damage. So the only way to explain that is as if they basically take an X-ray.
If you've played, like, I think it's Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat X, you can do X-ray. Like if you do a move, it goes into an X-ray vision. Yeah. And that's exactly what they do in the film.
Yeah, so rather than seeing someone impaled, you see the X-ray of someone being there, which is quite strange. But yeah, why not?
You don't often get that, so it was a nice take.
Yeah. And there were just there was something I spotted in it, and I've realised that maybe I shouldn't give it away yet, but I'll just say I'll say now. There's a part where he's in the big fight at the end.
Yeah.
Because there's always a big fight in the end.
Always
he walks through fire.
Yes.
So,
it is very CG.
And I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I've seen this before and not in this movie. So, and then, anyway, I didn't really write a lot of notes on this. It was something more I enjoyed. Like you said, DMX is barely in it. Aaliyah is surprisingly good. She, I kind of like her and Jet Li or Hans.
Yeah, they had I thought they worked well together. Yeah, I thought they had a good chemistry.
I was going to say the only thing I just didn't like was again, without giving away. We always say this without giving away too much. I've realised this is kind of like our sentence.
Just watch the movie before watching this.
Yeah. The police always seem very uninterested in Jet Li. That's all I'll say, and I never get this part. I'm like, this has just gone down. Do you not want to talk to this guy? He was very much involved with this. So, but it's the movies. So here we go. Anything else you want to add on Romeo?
No. I love this movie. It's such a good movie. I love it. It's a great story, great fight scenes. Some dodgy editing at times. I would say
the worst fight scenes of the three, though. This one.
Do you think
so? In my opinion, I think it's I thought it's a bit too fakey. Don't get me wrong. There's
definitely wire work
towards the end.
You can tell the wire work.
That
that's
bothers
not
me.
Aged well, but it is what it is.
It was a trend at the time. But there are some great scenes. But there's some very, I want to say, Asian cinema fight scenes in it as well, like being able to dodge things being thrown or hit or whatever. And I've definitely seen that in Jet Li or Jackie Chan, where something horrible is about to hit them and they manage to slide through a box or something that none of us would ever be able to do. So there's a lot of that in this. But no, I agree. Yeah. Should we move on to Exit Wounds?
Let's move on to Exit Wounds.
So I think,
I had a nice surprise in this movie because I've got it on DVD and I've not watched it since it came out on DVD a long time ago. And I didn't look it up at all. I just chucked it on. and completely forgot that Steven Seagal is in this movie.
Oh, really?
I just completely forgot he was in it.
I was going to literally, as I was just about to say, so I'm glad I didn't give that away. Yes, Steven Seagal is in this movie. Same director again. I don't know why Steven Seagal was chosen for this and not Jet Li, or who greenlit this, or to be honest, maybe it would be some interesting background research on this. But DMX has a more commanding role in this. And he's the supporting character to DMX. We have a bigger role for Anthony Anderson in this one again, and the introduction of Tom Arnold as sort of the comic relief,
so to speak. Funny.
And he is
so
very funny at times. There's we were talking about continuity and things like that. One of the biggest things that bothers me about this film, and there isn't a lot actually, but the opening scene, he has a handgun and it's a machine gun. And that just really bothers me. And even to this day, I'm just like, in the edit, why did that become a thing? Like he's got a handgun. It's not a machine gun. It sounds like a machine gun. He doesn't change the magazine.
Is it like a semi-auto pistol or something? But like the sound effect doesn't seem to match with what he's doing.
It's a handgun and they've just made it into a machine gun. And it's the only flaw in this movie, in my opinion.
He throws the vice president off the bridge.
I thought that was great. Why not? He saved his life. So
barely. The vice president couldn't swim. He nearly drowned.
But what else would you do with him? He made a split decision. But yeah, do you know what? Like I said, we mentioned Eva Mendes. Do you know? So we're talking about age. One thing I found really crazy was DMX's car. So they go into this car dealership, and he's a black guy going into a dealership, and people think he's, fortunately, race is involved, but he, ends up buying this car. It's a Lamborghini Diablo, and we've had the Murcielago, the Gallardo, the Aventador, the Huracan. Since then, 4 generations. Lamborghini don't bring out cars like Ferrari. They're not like every year. They'll bring out a tweaked version of it. But this was the Diablo at the end of its life. And when the Diablo came out in 1990s, Tyson had one. He was famous for having like a bright yellow one, and this was when Mike Tyson was his prime. So beautiful car, looked great. It's a Targa. I thought this was awesome, but just at the time, it was just like great.
I don't know if you noticed
that made it feel old to me.
The car dealer that he gave the money to, the white guy, who had said nothing the entire time, and just given him the keys and kept like cool and calm. He was at DMX's party later on in the film when he brings Steven Seagal in and everyone's kind of sat around eating and chatting and drinking. He's one of the guys that set at the table.
There you go. So it becomes right. I did not know that. Another thing, I don't know why we're going to go with cars in this. So I'm a big car gearhead. Obviously Anthony Anderson's Hummer. So this was an H1 again. So this wasn't an H2. This was, so Arnie, if anyone knows the story, Arnie really wanted a Hummer. He loved it. And Hummer, they said, well, we don't make them. And so they made a all-purpose version for him. It was a tweaked out, pimped out version of the military ride. And this is what they have in this movie. So it's not the H2.
That's
the
cool.
H2 was the one that was made that most people will see, a Hummer, which is your road version, normal version. But this is a normal Hummer, so I was quite impressed by that. A bright yellow one at that, but a Hummer. So there was some. So I'm gonna have to talk about the themes. So we haven't mentioned Steven Seagal much, actually. We talked about all the nuances.
There isn't
Steven Seagal
much to mention about Steven Seagal. Let's be honest.
So we've said story is corrupt cops, and this is why DMX is basically has a framed brother, and Steven Seagal is a police officer that's trying to you know,
It keeps
expose the
yeah.
ring of dirty cops in there. So,
And DMX is trying to do the same, but from
yeah,
his way of doing things.
yeah. So, yeah, Steven Seagal, I think typical. I don't know. Yeah, he's done better. Like Under Siege 2. He's done better stuff.
Is that it?
That
Just
doesn't
Under
mean
Siege and
that
Under
does
Siege 2?
no. I'm trying to think of what else has been.
Yeah, he was
Something.
just typical Steven Seagal. There's
Yeah,
nothing more to explain than that, really. It was just Steven Seagal being Steven Seagal.
yeah. It was, yeah. It was. But it was an older Steven Seagal
Yeah,
and a sexist Steven Seagal.
yeah.
So, but that
So
doesn't
Steven
really surprise
Seagal being
anyone.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal, yeah. So, and I think that was. I think it was the other characters that brought credence to this film.
Yeah.
If this had just been a Steven Seagal film fans would have seen it. And I think, like you said, the introduction of having Anthony Anderson, a bigger role, a funnier role.
I'd say at the height of his career at that time. He was in a number of movies.
Yeah, and just Tom Arnold. I know we've said it before, but his
That's really funny.
he's added for comedic.
That's
and
his
I just
only
loved
purpose.
yeah, and yeah, exactly. And I think the DMX part, like you said, will introduce people to that film that wouldn't necessarily watch that film.
Yeah.
Obviously, and people who'd seen Romeo and were familiar with Romeo Dies
It had
would be
good
thinking
soundtrack
this
as
might
well.
be a second one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really good.
yes.
I've liked for both those films so far. In fact, for all three films, I really like the soundtrack.
Yeah,
in all of them,
it is pretty much mostly DMX, but yeah, that was good. So I'm going to tell you I'll save the theme for last, and then I'll see if you picked up on it. Okay. Cradle to the Grave.
Cradle to the Grave. This is, I think, only the second time I've ever seen this movie, and yeah, it was all right. I enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as Romeo Must Die for me.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I don't think it's one of Jet Li's strongest roles. As
story goes, this could be genius or the worst. We call this the amalgamation. You've got rid of Steven Seagal, you brought back Jet Li, and if anything, it's brought more credibility to it. And it's it's basically both of those two on acid.
Yeah.
Bigger budget, it's bigger explosions. So story-wise, this time Jet Li is not a criminal. He's now a police officer. A Taiwanese police officer. So immediately I'm thinking, this is Taiwan. We don't mention Taiwan. So is this film going to get greenlit in China? That was a big thing, because I was thinking, surely Jet Li is he must be a massive draw in China, no?
Yeah, he was huge. He was absolutely huge in the early 2000s.
So surely saying Taiwan would completely nullify that, because
I have no idea.
We have the one China policy. Well, anyway, he's investigating some stolen plutonium. That's all we say on it. And DMX is someone who's basically involved in the kind of procuring of this said plutonium.
Yeah.
In the form of, I'm not going to say in the form of what, but anyway, his daughter gets snatched by the people who want the plutonium. Sounds a bit like Back to the Future here.
I was just thinking that.
And so DMX and Jet Li team up to get his daughter back and the plutonium back. Simple. They go back in
standard
time.
Crime.
Standard crime, yeah. Anyway, yes, we've got Tom Arnold back in this again for comedic effect. A lot of racism in this film. Casual racism, which I don't think you'd get anymore.
You wouldn't. That was
he makes a comment about you people look alike.
Gosh, I forgot about that comment. Yeah, it's not good.
You've got a black man and an Asian man sitting in front of you. I'm just like,
that's not good. But when you think about it, like, I mean, early 2000s, there was still a lot of kind of, I guess, when you look back and go, yeah, there was a lot of casual racism.
Yeah. No, there's a lot.
Which is surprising.
Stuff you get away with these days. So, There's a big UFC fight.
Oh
I'm
my
not
god,
the biggest UFC fan,
this was
but
a good
this
fight. This was a very
it
good fight.
was, it's a who's who of
Yeah,
like UFC champions
yeah.
here.
Was it Tito? I can't
Tito
remember. That's it.
Ortiz, Chuck Liddell,
Yeah,
Randy Couture was
yeah.
there,
Yes, yeah.
and
Who was in the
with Randy
Expendables
Couture
movies?
with hair. Yeah, Randy
Yeah.
Couture with hair. So, oh yeah, and there's the Jet Li, Randy Couture crossover. There you go,
Oh,
the
yeah, it's a
Expendables.
shared universe.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's like a multiverse. So yeah, that was a very entertaining fight scene
That
with
was
Jet Li.
a
But when is there never not an entertaining fight scene? You'd find this boring if it didn't.
he even because the referee is a dwarf.
Yeah,
Is that the correct term?
yeah.
So and he gets involved in the fight. And Jet Li
Mm.
uses him as a kind of weapon.
What? He's been in a lot of things as well. He's
Yeah,
been. I can't think.
I can't
He's
think
been
of
in
where
a few
though.
things. Yeah, but he's been in. Anyway, you can look it up.
But
Look, this film is. Um, right.
yeah, that was a good fight.
I'll move on to another thing I don't get is how does Jet Li get jurisdiction? He just he flashes his badge and which is fully in traditional Chinese,
Oh,
and everyone's
jeez.
like, yeah, we're letting through. He's a police officer. I trust him. I can do that. But yeah, there was a lot of but I'll bring in the themes, and I'm not sure if you. I'm sure you picked up on this, but I mentioned flames at the start.
Yeah,
Jet Li walks through flames in these movies. It's like a theme.
I did
But
not pick up on that.
the one reoccurring character you said was Anthony Anderson in all of
Yes.
them, and in DMX. The other one, if you want to call it a character or object, is a helicopter. The bad guy always tries to escape via helicopter.
I did not catch that.
Never gets away. Never gets away. In all three of them, never gets away. All three, helicopter. So the first one, Jet Li.
Saying that, it's Joel Silver, isn't it? That did the movies.
So is that his thing? Helicopters.
He did the Lethal Weapon series. Well, the Lethal Weapon
his
movies. And
yeah.
there's always helicopters in
So that's his
Weapon
bag
movies.
then. Helicopters. The bad guy never gets away. Do not get in a helicopter in his movies because you will not get away. It's just a plane, anything, just not a helicopter. Every one of them. It was just, and it just became this theme. It was like their thing. And then we mentioned the end credits in the last two, Tom Arnold and Anthony Anderson. So they built on.
Oh my god.
They had some good funny back and forth
Yeah.
in the second one where they're in character and Tom Arnold has
They're on a talk show.
Yeah, and they stay in character. In this one, they break character and they break the third wall, which is just hilarious because it doesn't happen apart from Deadpool movies, really.
Yeah. Do you mean fourth wall?
Fourth wall, sorry. Yeah, they break the fourth wall. They talk about they talk about I forget the reference now, but they basically talk about themselves in the third person. That's where I meant rather than fourth. And they talk about others, and it's just quite funny. Who are in the movies? So and didn't they say DMX can do the soundtrack? So yeah, that was just quite funny. So
it was it was good.
It is on acid. That's what this film
absolutely.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the big finale.
It was fun. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't as good as Romeo Must Die. But again, I think that's just nostalgia, probably, because I just watched that so much, and it's just it always has a fond spot in the old heart there.
Okay, rather than rate what's your order? You've already said Romeo was your favorite. So what
Romeo, Cradle, and Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal. Okay. So the funny thing was when Exit Wounds came out, I remember being really excited and watching this film. Seeing Romeo, like you said, a bit disappointed that DMX had a less of a role, but he's a rapper, and I think until Ludacris, quote me if I'm wrong here, came along in the Fast and Furious, and even at that time I was a bit like, rappers haven't had a good or a very high success in movies,
No.
so you sort of take them with a pinch of salt. So
yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Anyway,
yeah,
Ludacris,
Exit would have
Ludacris
been,
is Ludacris is great, and
yeah,
DMX is okay for the most part. He's not great. He's literally never going to win any
yeah,
acting
he's not
awards.
an actor,
But
but it's enough to
he's
get by.
yeah. But being excited by Exit, my order, Romeo, I enjoyed. I did
Yeah.
enjoy, but like I said, the wire work and the story's probably the best. But I'm gonna go Cradle first.
That's
Just,
fair.
do you know what? I like an adrenaline shot to the heart, and this is what Cradle does. It's basically the best parts of both of those movies thrown into one.
That's
And I
fair.
think that's
That's fair.
why, yeah. But Romeo would be my second, a close second, and then Exit, which, as I was saying, would have been my second, but I don't know. I just maybe, like you said, it
Steven
hasn't
Seagal
aged
even
as
had some wire work in Exit Wounds. I did notice.
Yeah. Well, he is probably about 60.
There were some moves he was not going to be pulling off.
Mm.
And no one wants
There
to
you
see
go.
Steven Seagal pull off anything.
But I think,
No.
as we said, it's maybe one of those unknown trilogies. I think a great trilogy, and I think anyone should check it out.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just classic early 2000 martial arts movies where martial arts had a push.
Stroke.
Romeo definitely is, and Cradle is, but Exit Wounds.
I just think I would say, to me, I'd say they're good action films. Yeah, entertaining
That's a
action
better
films,
way of putting
and
it. Yeah, good action films.
they're cheesy enough that anyone who doesn't, you don't have to like martial arts to enjoy them. And like you said, Lethal Weapons and Rush Hours, and it's very much along those kind of lines of just
We've got to go back and watch
entertainment.
Lethal Weapons and Rush Hours. They are. Lethal Weapon definitely.
They need to be done.
So good.
They need to be done. Yeah.
So good. You can't go wrong.
That it taught us that suicide was funny. So.
Oh yeah, hilarious.
Anyone who knows that reference, please comment. Please comment. Anyone who knew that reference.
I did not know that reference. Well, if I did, it's long
beyond
gone.
Beyond Blunderdome.
Speaking of which, coming up on next week's show, we are going to be watching the Simpsons movie, the South Park movie, and the classic 90s Beavis and Butthead movie. My God, I've not seen that one since it came out at the cinema. It's going to be a good watch.
How old are you?
Too old.
Yes, it's the animated feature that you didn't ask for. We are happy to deliver.
You're going to have it.
Yes. What is the best animated feature? See you next week.
I'm calling it now. Hey Arnold, the movie.